Let's go!
You are now watching 14ASports on 15MOFE.com.
Oh, welcome back to the 14ASports radio show.
Yeah. Whoa.
All right, so we are just waiting for the predictor right now while we get started. Let's get an update right now on the baseball game.
We got top two. Alan Craig just mashed a single off the Green Monster. He looks a lot better, actually. He had a banged up foot. Scored on the obstruction call. Hurt his foot even more. But he's looking good. And here come the Cardinals, another base hit. So they're going to have first and second with no outs, top two. So they're putting something together right here.
Nice. Don't want to see that whole thing with Lackey coming up now.
Still 0-0, right?
0-0, first and second, no outs.
All right.
Molina with the base
here
hit.
he is on cue. All right. So our guest right now, we had him back on in July. You've definitely heard him on ESPN Radio, Fox Radio, and CBS Sports Radio. Make sure you go check out his website, livepredictor.com, where you can find a complete breakdown of all 32 NFL teams for this season. Also, give him a shout out on Twitter at livepredictor. Everybody, welcome David James to the show. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, guys. Always enjoy the flavor there. What's going on, guys?
All good here. The weather's starting to change, so we're getting a little chilly. But how's the West Coast treating you?
Actually, it's pretty good. I'm missing those Boston cold days.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Boston, I don't know if you're watching the game, but Lackey's getting a little bit of trouble here to start off Game 6 and top two.
No, I had to step out because I was booked on a night of the World Series.
Oh, man.
You know what I was thinking about last week, because I remember you called in and you were like, oh my God, yeah, there's no way that they'd have me on the night of the World Series. Oh no, Wednesday night's our time slot, Dave.
You know what, guys? It's all good. I enjoy you guys' show, so it's good.
Hey, it's only the second inning anyway. You're not missing anything.
I'll keep you updated if anything goes down.
So I know the last time we talked, I remember that you said you had a pilot for a TV show going on. How's that going?
Yeah, we're in the midst of contracts negotiation right now, Brian and I, and hopefully we'll be back in New York in 2 weeks, kind of fill it up.
We got to have you in when you're here.
Oh, that would be well appreciated. I mean, you said that last time, and definitely.
Oh, tremendous. Tremendous.
Awesome. All right, so just real quick, for the people that missed the initial interview back in July with you, just run down a little bit like what it is that you do for all these different teams and different athletes across professional sports.
Yeah, I personally started as a radio guy years ago, and got invited. I always give Bobby Beth of the San Diego Chargers always credit because he gave me my first break, and we were very successful with them. And then he just made some phone calls. A couple of teams joined on, and I kind of went over to baseball and basketball and even one hockey team now. So picked this up. But really, we're the big three. I mean, we're football, baseball, basketball. And it's me, it's a couple of guys I work around, some brilliant contract guys. Brian's brilliant. And I just basically pick talent at free agency trades and drafts. Again, I tell GMs every day of the week if I could pick winners, wouldn't talk to you, wouldn't sit in your office at Vegas all day. But I just, I humbly say I'm on a roll where I strive for a clip of 80% on talent, and that's where I stand.
Nice. Now, I'm the big hockey guy here on the panel, but who's the hockey team that you're working with?
Well, that's undisclosed because if it's a private deal and it's off the side. But we did have the irony behind it is that it was a team that passed on our draft pick, and the draft pick that they took out of somewhere in the Netherlands. But anyway, this kid did not last in the league, and now Travis Zajac did fine with the New Jersey Devils. So
there you go.
They ended up recouping and coming back to us.
Awesome.
Nice. So now I'm just wondering, on your evaluations, do you do a lot of advanced metrics, or is it kind of just by sight with the old school scouting, or do you kind of mix both worlds?
It's just a weird angle. I've been told by many GMs it's a different angle. It's not your typical 9-to-5 publication. We just look at things and say, sometimes, again, we say that Derek Jeter's of the world on Michigan is going to be that good, and Jan, my neighbors, too, could have told me that. But I have to say, in meetings or on air, that he better deliver every year that I've backed this kid. He has. He's never made me look wrong. Where some people doubted him when he hit 091 out of the box like 6 years ago, and I still stood by him. He hit 302 at the end of the season. But sometimes the Zach Thomas of the world, the Tony Romos, the Rajon Rondos, they all make us look good because they say, "There's your guy," and I'll stand by it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, Dave. So we talked NFL before the preseason in July. So let's get into that. So how about you give us what were some of your big hits so far this year? The teams you liked, teams you didn't like, how are they doing? And then me and you will talk a little Buffalo Bills. How about that?
Yeah, well, let's go backwards in order. Is that Arizona? We're thankful. We're looking good with Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
We thought this was a brilliant move. I'm still, even the big game against Atlanta. One national show did nice props on us on our picks doing right, and I said, well, you got to go backwards on the 1 to 32. ESPN just did a clip on why, and it was yesterday, as a matter of fact. My associate saved the article for me, and it says why these 5 teams, where they're so highly paid and touted, are disasters this season. Well, we got 4 out of 5. The one we disagree with them is Baltimore Ravens. We still think the Ravens can make the playoffs, and they'll be fine. But when you got the Atlanta Falcons and the Houston Texans and the Minnesota Vikings and one other team in there that we threw in, we said these are all disaster teams.
Washington, right? You had Washington.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
You had Washington as a disaster.
Washington, thank you. Yeah, we put them down at 32, actually. I mean, I even took the Jaguars over them.
Okay.
But it's just that, I'm a big Mike Shanahan guy. I've known him for years, and that's not to downgrade Mike. That's what I mean about picking wins. It's not to downgrade the guy, because I think Mike Shanahan's brilliant. And I told him that years ago. I said, you'll forget the Elway era, coach. You'll go down as the greatest breaker running backs in the history of the game. And that was 6 years ago. And he goes, wow, David, I'll take that. Well, he's still breaking Alfred Morris, a guy that nobody wanted, and so this is how brilliant he is. He's got to fire Jim Haslett. We say things that are not polite. We don't babysit anybody. But at the same time, we come back and say 3 years later, get Jim Haslett. This guy will work for your system. So it's not about bashing anybody. It's just about saying where they fit.
Yeah, Dave, I remember the one team that we were in total agreement with about, absolutely sucking it up this year was the Atlanta Falcons. And, I mean, were we ever right? I mean, this team is a dumpster fire right now. I know that,
yeah.
I didn't, just like you, I didn't think that Steven Jackson was going to make a difference whatsoever,
Right, and Mike Smith, I remember him in Jacksonville. He's got to go. I mean, I put an X over him on our video, and I released that on our sheets to teams. I said they'll release Mike Smith, and one GM called me and said, "David, come on, they're not going to release Coach Mike." But I think they should. I think they should bench Matt Ryan. I think that was a waste of money.
Wow.
I'm from Boston. I studied at Boston College. Tall, lanky kid that likes to imitate Peyton Manning at the line, and it's just going to catch up to him and. That's about it. When you lose Michael Turner and John Abraham, John's playing well with the Cardinals, that was going to affect him.
Interesting. How about, we'll get into a little local team, the Giants. And I remember back in July, you said we discussed a little bit, the Giants, we talked about how they had holes, a lot of holes. I think we agreed they'd be maybe a playoff team, borderline, kind of a mid-level. Well, what do you see the Giants so far this year?
I'm a big Tom Coughlin guy. I've stood by him years ago, Boston Parcells system. I just, I said this will be his last year when
Really?
I picked Dallas to take that division.
Yeah,
sure.
you like Dallas.
And 4-4 is not saying much, but at the same time, I think the Eagles could go on fire. I was in agreement with the Chip Kelly hiring. But at the same time, I think Nick Foles, the problem is he's trying to design Nick Foles into his Oregon system, and it doesn't work. Nick Foles is Jim Kelly all over again. He's a big, tall, lanky kid that can put on weight and deliver. And I saw in that game 2 weeks ago, he won Player of the Week by, for the NFC 2 weeks ago, and then they put him in, and then GS tries to have him roll out and throw like Michael Vick. And no, he can't do that.
Let's be honest.
I think the Cowboys and them. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, let's be honest. With Philly, too, these receivers are not good, They're all frail guys, Like, they get touched and they go flying all over the place. I mean, they don't have any big physical receivers to deal with in this tough, division, the NFC East.
Right, and Jason Avant out of Michigan, and he I don't want to blame it all on him because I actually like him, but it was a blown play in the end zone. He coughed up the ball, and I think Deshaun Jackson is elite. Maybe we don't talk about attitudes, we don't talk about egos, we don't talk about whatever they do off the field. I could care less, but I think the kid on the field is brilliant, and I think that the Eagles can deliver if LaShawn. LaShawn just tweaked his ankle today in practice, so hopefully he's all set with Nick Foles coming back against the Raiders.
Yeah.
So now, Dave, it seemed like a couple teams you were down on were Seattle and San Fran. Now, I mean, any reason on that specifically, or I mean, are they doing things that you were surprised about?
Yeah, you weren't big on Russell Wilson. You thought he was a little bit of smoke and mirrors last year, not making a lot of throws. They didn't look good Monday night, but now here they are 7-1 Seattle. What do you think of Seattle?
Well, we're big. We've downgraded them, and also we're big on Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn's a guy that I talked to Coach Gill. I've known since Miami Dolphin days, and he's with a Southern accent. He's a great guy. He's like, David, Buddy Nick doesn't want to hear it, David. We're moving him along, David. And it was like, look, they just drafted C.J. Spiller, Clemson, and they had Fred Jackson out of Co, and he's solid. And it's like, they wanted to move him along because of attitude problems. But that's why I say I don't care about your attitude. You don't, if the kid can deliver. So I think when they lost him, and he is the heart of Seattle, you can take any one of those guys, and you can replace him. You can't replace Marshawn Lynch. And with Sidney Rice going down and Russell exposed against the Rams, solid defense, I think this team's in trouble.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that offensive line. I mean,
was
Quinn and
terrible.
Long just absolutely dominated them. I think they had 6 sacks, seven as a team. Seattle absolutely did not look good.
Yeah, they got
on Monday
backup
night.
tackles in there.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And now Sidney Rice is out for the
what you
season.
said, yeah.
Sorry. I was admiring
But
myself.
you have
on the
Harvin
computer.
coming back, which should help him out. But that depends on when he does come back.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we talked about Walsh's team. You were the Tampa Bay. You were big on Schiano. You really liked the hire. What's going on? What's going on at Tampa Bay? Walsh had him going to a Super Bowl, which we knew was a homer pick. That was asinine. But
they can go to the Super Bowl because they can buy the tickets online.
Funny, David. Funny.
yeah, Schiano's a Jersey guy. It's right. There you go.
That's look at Greg Schiano. Look, this is where we stand. This is how Adam and I get in meetings. Greg Schiano was the right move. Out of Rutgers, he was brilliant with Ray Rice. This is the right guy. Now, at the same time, if you notice on our website, which obviously we don't release sheets of teams, but it's the same thing on our release sheets. But obviously 3 pages in depth, 2 or 3 pages. But on our website, we even say, I showed an X of a Josh Freeman. I said before the season started, he'll be benched by 3rd or 4th game.
Right.
Our evaluation of humbly say was correct about that. Josh Freeman, anybody watching at Kansas State, was not the real deal, and he just happens to be a big kid. Now, Mike Glennon, North Carolina State, can deliver. Obviously, now you have the running back blow, which is going to really – now Mike doesn't even have a running back to go to.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with a lot of problems there. The defense, I don't want to say they're giving up on them, but if they escape this weekend against Seattle and really try to make a statement after watching the Rams take them to town, I think that all of a sudden the Mike Lennon stock will ease up a little bit for him and Mike. And it'll really help. Mike Lennon can deliver. The problem with him is he's lanky, but the kid's got nice zip on his ball. And Tim Bay's not going anywhere. Everybody, that was a darling pick. As a matter of fact, I met up with the Deshaun Golson guys for the season.
Right.
And I tried to explain that this is not going to happen, but everybody picked them just the darling pick. I didn't, but again, it's salvageable though.
I'll tell you what, though. I think that Tampa team has a ton of talent. I think, they could be kind of like a Kansas City Chiefs, where you refocus, maybe get the right quarterback if it's Glennon or whomever, and because that team's loaded with talent, in my opinion. I think they could absolutely turn it around.
Yeah, let me add on to that. Now, I know that Tampa Bay is going to they're probably going to have a top 3 pick coming up here. If you're Tampa Bay, do you go after another quarterback or do you stick it out with Glennon?
You stick out with Glennon. This kid can deliver. Again, he's a kid, and the only thing I would work on is maybe bring in a brilliant quarterback coach. There's a couple of them out there, guys who are actually overrated as offensive coordinators, are good quarterback coaches, and they can work with this kid. They can make his foot movement a little better, coming out, stepping back. But this kid's going to deliver. He's not no Tom Brady, but he's not no bust either. This kid will deliver.
So what do you think? Clowney for the Bucs next season?
That I don't release, but I think this upcoming draft, especially the NBA draft, I can't wait for next year's NBA draft. But I think this draft is actually a little overrated in some departments. That people want to hype up these quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of Marcus in at Oregon, but
Mariota.
I think that the secondary is where we're advising teams to look at.
Yeah. All right. Me and my colleague here, Matt, we had this debate plenty of times. Okay, he's high on Teddy Bridgewater. I do not think Teddy Bridgewater is the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Where do you stand on this?
No, to us, he's more of a college guy. He could be a good backup in the NFL, but that's
Really?
not where we stand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The predictor likes Walsh.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So here we are, like halfway through the season. I mean, is there anything that totally took you out of left field, or anything that you're totally surprised about throughout the year, or?
Now I missed the first one. I'm sorry. As far as what?
I mean, just halfway through the year, any team that really took you by surprise that you weren't expecting, or anything that really disappointed you?
I still like this whole, Doug Martin out of Syracuse. I still like the Buffalo Bills team. I still like the fact that the Patriots are still struggling to get by, and Tom Brady's one of the biggest cause. You figure I want him to win 20 Super Bowls, but I'm based on that. I think that I think LaMarcus Blount was a brilliant move, and Stephen Ridley, fumble problems and all LSU can deliver. Bowden solid. I think that it's wide open. We downgraded Miami Dolphins when they were the darling pick in the AFC, like Tampa was in the NFC, and we downgraded it because of Ryan Tannehill will not work out in the pros. We've stated that. And I think that it's wide open for them. The Jets can't get by Rex Ryan's groin. He's doing wonders with that team, but they can't get by in Buffalo because if they get stuck in on this Wednesday, look, they're playing the third string right now. So if they can get CJ healthy, they can just stay healthy with Robert Woods, they can be fine. I think teams like Baltimore will come back. I think Cleveland, I think they're in a flux right now because now they're seeing that with Jason Campbell now taking Kansas City to town. But the problem is ESPN did a nice piece on is it a myth? They showed like an elf, and they showed a rainbow, and they showed Santa Claus, and they showed all these stupid little things. And then they put the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was a brilliant whoever thought of it. And it says, are they a myth as well? And I think they are. I think that I think this defense is for real. I think Flowers, we liked him at Virginia Tech.
Yep.
He's making this team tick. And I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, so I think where the Chargers can come on strong, and you got all of a sudden now Houston being pulled out, and Colts, everybody said they're going to be a one-year wonder. We backed them. We said, no, they're going to be for real. They're going to take a division. This is just a unique team, this Colts team. There's nothing special about it, but I think Darius Haywood-Bay out of Maryland, this kid we always back with the Raiders. We didn't look good, but now also he's looking good. And I think that they're a special team. So I think other than that, with Atlanta falling apart, New Orleans rocking with their three attack, and Jimmy Graham staying healthy, New Orleans is for real. So we like Arizona still. We like New Orleans. We like the Colts. We like Buffalo.
So you're basically sticking by your guns for the most part.
Big teams. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I like it. Hey,
Let's go back to Indianapolis.
Dave, let me give you an update real quick. Your boy Lackey got out of first and second, no outs. Boston put 2 on. Now Boston has 2 on, first and second with 2 outs. With David Ross coming to the plate. So there you are in a game right there. So nothing yet.
Now, back to the Indianapolis Colts. Is Trent Richardson ever going to pop off, or was this just a horrible trade made by the Colts, giving up a first-rounder for him?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're exactly right. It was a good trade by Cleveland. And you know what, Trent? I mean, he can deliver. He's not what. That's our part of our job is to say, let's cut the hype. Let's not make these guys look bigger than they are. And he's just a good running back. We backed Eddie Lacy and Jonathan Franklin coming out for Green Bay. Both they got 2 brilliant picks. Yeah. Where he's okay, Trent Richardson. So I think Cleveland, what they didn't do, which I expect them to do, and no offense to Willis McGahee, I've known Willis for years, and he's a nice guy, and I think he had a brilliant career in Denver, and he made Tim Tebow look good. But I think that they should have really went out and got a running back to help out in that situation. They're in a flux where North Turner has only so many weapons to work with, and I think that to answer your question, I think Trent Richardson can deliver, but I think that it's not only on Andrew Luck. I think it's this defense, and I think these wide receivers are just making everything look good, and the tight ends. It's just a nice heel team. I don't know why. I've studied the place. I just like this team.
Now with Trent Richardson too, talk about. Is it hard for a running back to adjust to a new team? Like I could see a receiver, probably having some trouble with all the routes and all the calls and stuff like that. Is that tough for a running back to just step in there on a trade like that, like during the season?
Yeah, I hear you. That's a fair question, but it varies on the running back. It varies on the offensive coordinator, and there's a lot of variations in that.
Okay.
Interesting. So I go back to the Browns. I know you're a huge North Turner fan, and they put a quarterback there. I know you said you mentioned Jordan Cameron, who's been very good. Josh Gordon. So they have the makings there. But to go into a more prolific offense, I mean, how about Peyton Manning and that Denver offense? Is that sustainable there? Manning really hasn't thrown the ball deep. Out of his 6 interceptions, 4 of them were downfield throws. Is that a sustainable offense? They just have too many weapons? How are we feeling? I don't remember discussing Denver, seeing anything that you had with Denver. What's your feeling there?
Yeah, on our website we have Denver, the post, and the guy that produced it, and Brian did the overall, producing of it, but the editor with him. But basically, it's we had Denver coming in, just knocking on the door when everybody picked them to go to the Super Bowl. We said just missing the playoffs, and the only reason why is because I feel this is a brilliant team. It's an okay defense, but John Fox is a little overrated, with the Giants over the years. But the fact is that Manning goes down, this team's in a flux. When you see a lot of Mathis, his own ex-teammate, hit him that hard in the end zone, he was wincing. That, you have a brilliant draft pick out of Wisconsin, but you have Noshon Moreno, who back when he was on the bench, when they benched him, I said, there's nothing wrong on national radio. I said, there's nothing wrong with Noshon Moreno. Now he's considered one of the best top 5 backs in the league, where you have a 1-2 Monty Ball and him attack, and Ronnie Hillman because of the fumbles. But, you also have Demaryius Thomas. And Demaryius Thomas, don't let anybody fool you. This kid might even, I know you're going to be shot, blown away, but I'll tell you, Demaryius Thomas is right up there with Calvin Johnson. Yeah. I think Larry Fitzgerald's better than both of them, but I think Demaryius Thomas is like, if he didn't blow his Achilles at Georgia Tech, he'd be in that top level.
Wow. All right. Well, we talked a lot about the AFC. Let's switch over to the NFC. What do you think about the Saints, specifically their running back situation? Who do you got for the guy there? I mean, it's kind of always in flux between Sproles, Thomas, and Ingram. Any guy you like out of there specifically, or just they just use whatever to take their advantage?
You were high on all 3 of those guys coming into the season, correct?
Yeah. They kind of remind me when LeRon McClain, Ray Rice, and McGahee was with Baltimore, and I said, wow, I've never seen a 3-headed attack like this. Well, that's what New Orleans has. And if to answer your question, I would no question put, no offense to either one of those guys because I like all 3 of them, but I would put Darren Sproles absolutely number 1. Yeah. This kid's out of the backfield. This kid's out of he broke or he tied a New Orleans record for both off the block and out of the backfield. But I'll tell you something, Darren Sproles, he's the original Reggie Bush, and Reggie's born in Detroit. But you got Pierre Thomas, a Ron Turner guy, and you got Mark Ingram, who everybody laughed at and said, no. And now they're saying, oh, no, we're working him into the system. There's nothing wrong with Mark Ingram. He can deliver. And, yeah, like you said, this team is for real. There's no question about this team.
Are the Saints a favorite in the NFC as now for you, or?
I'm sorry?
Are the Saints a favorite for you in the NFC, or like a different
team?
No,
I'll still stand by AZ. I think, wow. I'm not kidding you. I really think that if he could really get Carson Palmer out of there and put Drew Stanton in, I think that this running attack, you've just seen with Ellison this year, how many yards did he rack up? This defense is Taylor Campbell, Miami. It's playing out of their mind. Dansby. They're just like lights up. The secondary's lights up. The linebackers are coming in on every play. It's like I would not take these guys lightly. I know 4-4 doesn't rock anybody's world, but I would not take them lightly because if Seattle starts all of a sudden tanking, and all of a sudden, San Fran has a tougher schedule ahead, and you saw what the Colts did to them, I would not take these guys lightly. But obviously, I got like New Orleans in right behind them. But I think there's other teams that can possibly just creep up on them. But you got to look at the overall stance of the NFC right now. When everybody's telling the Chicago Bears, I downgraded them because of Mark Trestman, but Detroit Lions, no one's given any press to, and these guys could quietly creep into this spot. I'm not the biggest Matthew Stafford guy. I enjoy I think he's got a gun of an arm like Roethlisberger when he rolls out, but in the pocket he breaks down mentally. Where you got Reggie Bush now, and you got Scott Linehan, and I hope Scott wins, an award for his job that he's doing there because Gunther Cunningham, with all that talent, is not doing well on the defense. There's brilliant talent on that defense, and I hope that Coach Schwartz takes over the defense and just lets him go because when you put Scott Linehan with that offense and you put Jim Schwartz running the defense when he came from Jeff Fisher's system, that could be a brilliant team.
Wow. So, we've hit the NFL, I think, every which way that we could. I know that, we wanted to talk about the NBA before we got out of here for the night. So, cool. We had the NBA that started out last night. Break down for, the area teams for us, the Knicks and the Nets for our viewers. How do you see both of them doing this year?
Both solid teams. You got to like Brooklyn a little better, obviously. I think the outside perimeter game is going to fail on New York, Novak. I still think you got to deal with these guys. But New Jersey, there's just as long as Brook Lopez stays healthy, He was one of our recommendations, one of the GM's tasked, but he said, looking back, I wish I listened to you. But as long as Brooks stays healthy, that's the key to that team.
He's the best offensive center in the league right now.
Yeah.
Brook
Yeah.
Lopez. He's the most skilled offensive center in the
Well,
league.
he's leading the Nets in points tonight. He's having a far better game than anybody else. He's got 19 points right now.
Nice.
Next closest guy.
What did you
13
think? What did you think of the Pierce and Garnett trade for the Nets? Were you in favor of that?
I was a favor in both sides. I think the
Okay.
Celtics actually
Yeah.
winning that deal.
Yep.
Yeah,
not
I
the
agree.
big Danny Ainge guy, but I think it's brilliant. I mean, you get all these draft picks, and they'll have to suffer a year. They have the wrong coach. He's more of a college coach, but you do have these draft picks, and if Solinger can stay healthy, and obviously my Rajon Rondo pick that I was laughed at about years ago, you put those two together. And Jeff Green again is more like a Rudy Gay, one of those vanilla players where you don't want to push so much on him to make him, because he's not that excellent of a player. He's just a good, solid player. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's a
Just don't
Georgetown
overpay him, you know, so-
guy. Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Allen Iverson.
All right. Well, yeah.
So now you didn't like Brad Stevens as a signing there. Now he was pretty highly touted as a good signing, up and coming guy.
Solid. In our evaluations, he's a solid college coach. I disagreed with the hiring, but that's okay. I mean, let's see what happens.
Now, what do you think about the Knicks for this season? I know you touched on it a little bit with Novak, but as a whole, how far do you see this team going?
Oh, they're solid. I think Raymond Felton steps up big this year for them. I think that this team is. I think that. Look at Carmelo. The whole flux going to LA is
Ridiculous.
It's just. Yeah, I mean they're a solid team. Now Mike, I've always liked in Atlanta, but I always thought he was the wrong coach because he's a brilliant guy, he's a nice guy, and he knows the stuff. I just don't know if he's the Parcells put you away when the game counts kind of guy. And I just think that they're good, but I think they're banking on this year. Dolan's banking on this year. Well, I can't see it personally. I mean, good luck to them if they do it, but I think the Nets are a better team, but. And by the way, don't count out these Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh my God, dude, that's crazy! No, because we're doing our NBA preview next, and I actually was gonna have Cleveland. I have Cleveland as the 5th best team in the East this season. That's my big
And
surprise
they're beating the Brooklyn
pick.
Nets right now.
But I have them over the
That's
Knicks. Yeah, I have the Cavs 5th, and I have the Knicks 6th. Well, there goes that spoiler. But I guess before we get out of here, I guess give us. Would Cleveland be your surprise team from the East?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
and then how about a team from the West? Who'd be a surprise team?
The Kings, absolutely.
Boogie Cousins.
This team that Ben's going to deliver out of Kansas. I went down, I studied him at the Summer League.
I liked him.
And, you, me, and 5 other guys on the street could hit better shots than he hit. And I went looking down, and I talked to a couple of GMs at the game, and I said, "Don't worry, I'll stand by this kid." And I remember I saw LeBron's first preseason game when he came in against I think it was the Clippers or Lakers. It was one of the two because we're at the Staples, but it was horrible. I mean, he couldn't hit a shot. So it's like this kid is for real, and I think that with Jimmer coming off the bench, and I really think DeMarcus Cousins with the contract will step up, and with these guys like Patterson that'll deliver. Do not count these guys out.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very nice. All right, David, we thank you for your time this evening, and we definitely want to have you on, I guess, maybe before the football playoffs. We'll say around then.
Well, he's going to be in town in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, no, that's right. I completely forgot. 2 weeks. Definitely hit us up. We'll get together, whether we got to come out to the city or you come here to Jersey. We'll figure it out. But, definitely want to meet the predictor face-to-face finally.
Yeah, we're working on that right now, and if it was supposed to be actually last week, and then it got postponed, and now it's supposed to be 2 weeks from now. So if we do that, if we can make time, I know it's going to be like a 2 to 3 day window we have, but if time, absolutely. If not, I always have time for you guys. I just really dig the flavor you guys have.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Hey, good luck to your Red Sox.
You suck.
Hey, look at the Red Sox. I'm a Terry Francona guy, and I want to say congratulations, Terry, with a brilliant job you did with a number of teams.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's a great call. He had that team, and that team was that. They started out hot, and then they hit a lull, and he really brought them back.
Yeah,
they had a
strong.
tremendous year. I love Tito. Tito was awesome.
Yep. All right, Dave. We'll talk to you in about 2 weeks. All right, try to set this up.
Sounds great, guys.
All right, have a good one. You got
Thank
it.
you.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, that's David James, the predictor. Always a great guest
Dude,
here on the
he's
show.
tremendous.
I like this
He's
guy.
tremendous.
He's really sticking to his guns on his picks.
I
man.
like it. This
He-
guy's got the
he's-
thickest skin ever.
He's loving Arizona, huh?
Yeah,
come on.
How could you not? 4-4 right now.
No, you know what?
Great
I think
defense.
he's a believer in Drew Stanton because I don't think Carson Palmer's going a distance. But if they get a quarterback there, Larry Fitzgerald's been underused clearly since Kurt Warner, right? He hasn't been the elite player that he should be, that he is. But he's right. That was the reason I picked him. They had a 5.5 over under to start the season.
Yeah.
The reason I picked him, I was on him with the defense. That
Yeah,
Arizona
yeah,
defense
absolutely,
could play.
absolutely.
Hands down.
Well, they started off fast
play.
last year too, and that defense was
4-0 start.
a
Yeah.
component
Yeah.
of it, and then
Well,
they just-
their quarterbacks were
just fell apart.
historically bad. I mean, John Skelton,
Yeah.
historically bad. But Arizona's interesting, and Buffalo we kind of skirted around. But they're on their third string quarterback. It's tough.
I mean,
he
it's
still likes
5,
Maroney.
not bad in some close games. They played very tough.
but it's really, I mean, come on, really.
The one thing I didn't get a chance to touch on it, but Dallas, he really liked Dallas this season, go NFC Championship, and they very well still could. But this team could easily be 6-2 if they didn't do the bullshit against Denver and then the collapse against Detroit.
Well, you can't give them that
6-2 too.
Denver game. I mean, but I
They had a
understand- I
chance to
understand
drive
your point.
downfield.
I know, but you know what? That doesn't matter, right? They're sitting at 4-4.
Yeah.
No, seriously. So that's where they are. But Dallas is by far the most talented team in that division.
Definitely.
And I mean,
Without
the
a
toughest
doubt.
part about doing all this, I mean, that was back in July. I mean, injuries, I mean, have ravaged a bunch of those teams, like the Eagles, the Browns. So if they had a quarterback
Bills.
in Hoyer, the Bills. I mean,
You know what? One thing I'll be interested to see. He's really down at Seattle, and he's seeing Seattle falling apart.
but I mean, if you're gonna hang your hat on a defense, I mean, I'll take Seattle's defense against
That's
anybody.
true. That's
And
very true.
especially
And I'll take Russell Wilson over, over
See, I don't
Carson
think it's
Palmer.
a
And
defense
that home
that
field,
he's
too.
down on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's 8-0 right there.
Yeah. I don't think it's a defense that he's down so much on. It's, the whole offensive
I mean, they
line
could basically
and
go
Russell
winless
Wilson.
on the road and almost get.
He's
into the
basically
playoffs.
saying you could put Mark Brunell back there with Marshawn Lynch at running back.
Mark
Marshall.
Brunell, he lost all his money. He has no money.
Did
he? Yeah, he lost it in a real estate deal.
Shit.
He's selling like pharmaceutical drugs.
That happens too often for.
Well,
pro
way to
athletes.
get at to the break on a high note.
Well, just update real quick. Both pitchers put 2 guys on, but nothing yet. Big Poppy's up right now, running on second, 1 out in the bottom of the third. So that's where we're at. Oh, and they're rightfully so intentionally walking Poppy. You kind of have to.
I Poppy. And then in the NBA, we got the Cleveland Cavs. The Nets are actually down 10 points going into the fourth. They stepped it up here a little bit, 5-point deficit, 10:25 to go. Cleveland up 79-76 now, 3-point game. And the Knicks are up 25 at the
Crushing
half,
it.
blowing the
Crushing
hole
it.
out of the Milwaukee Bucks right now. I have a couple notes here on the Bucks I want to get to, but we'll do
get
it
into that
in
with
the
the
NBA
NBA.
preview
All right.
after the break.
15 minutes of fame. Let's go.